Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Arms of Hadar. All right, this is kind of a fun one.
Yeah, I like these spells. There's a silliness factor that come with the big inky black tentacles that I find very fun. So there's first level conjuration spell for warlocks. Notably, that's important. It's only for warlocks, which is a bummer. It's got a cast time of an action itself, 10-foot radius for emblematic components, instantaneous duration. You invoke the power of Hadar, the Dark Hunger. Tendrils of dark energy erupt from you and batter all creatures within 10 feet of you. Each creature in the area makes strength save. On a failed save, it takes 2d6 necrotic damage and can't take reactions until your next turn. On a successful save, creature takes half damage but suffers no other effect. So minimum d6 damage in an area, not that great. When you upcast it, it's about a d6 damage, which is important because you're a warlock, but you really don't want to upcast things whenever you possibly can, because normally you're getting a worse rate than casting a higher level spell, which is definitely the case with Arms of Hadar, which makes it like a, who is this for? And that is a question I don't think has a great answer. It's
I don't know. All right, you called it silly. I don't see it that way. I think it's really creepy. Like,
you get giant octopus tentacles that beat things around to death in a game where you're playing a halfling with a weird personality. Like this is
terrifying.
Okay, if you're dealing with Jorbis, the halfling who is addicted to pie, which is a real kind of D&D character, may I point out.
Wait a second. This is a big if.
Okay, I would say
if you're going out of your way to make it silly, then okay.
Bob, I would like you to take a journey with me into the characters you play. And now, envision casting the spell in a serious fashion.
I'm looking at this objectively right now, and wait, Jorbis the halfling who's addicted to pie, this is a warlock?
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000,000%. He made a deal with the devil to become the best baker in the city, obviously, which is, again, a very player kind of backstory to do, right? And that one's free. That's just off the top of my head. I can tell you dozens of warlocks make the dumbest bargains, and that's the whole point, is they're like, kind of silly, lighthearted characters because people like to laugh when they play D&D. That's kind of like a big selling point of it, is its silliness. And I think Arms of Hadar more often than not is going to look like that, and not the big badass brooding, and people like to make fun of this kind of character, with the cloak shadows, and I have to control the evil within me, and I've been tormented and taken by this evil otherworldly entity, and oh god, it's coming out, and the tentacles go out and kill everyone, right? Like that's
how I'm envisioning it.
Yeah, but that's not fun. I'm envisioning it as just this
little fun.
It's a certain kind of fun.
Yeah.
Listen, different strokes for different folks, as the saying goes. It's not my kind of
I'm
D&D.
not against silliness.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would accuse me of that. That's not the first place I go to when thinking about this spell, though. But all right.
So I put this in the same vein I put like Avard's Black Tentacles. Is that one sillier to you than this?
No, that's different creepy, or a similar creepy.
Really? I guess there's something about squirming inky like calamari erupting from your chest that I just don't inherently find that terrifying. I think it's just looks like that's utterly ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I mean, I drew a picture of it with Jorser the Sorcerer, and yeah, that's really silly.
It's really silly.
But that's because I have limited skills as an artist.
I think most people that I've experienced playing D&D play a lot more on the relaxed and non-edgy kind of heavy roleplay side of things, right? I think most groups are like, you're with your friends, you're having some drinks, you're enjoying some collaborative storytelling and rolling some dice. And in those windows, Arms of Hadar tends to look very silly. I think to do the brooding...
I have never played a game that wasn't like that.
Exactly. I think that's most people.
I have never used this spell.
Yeah, but it's also it's a warlock exclusive and not a good one. So that might be the real reason you never cast the spell.
Well, I've never played a warlock, but
that's also true.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's go back. You don't think it's all that great?
It's pretty mediocre.
All right, well, let's get into the mechanics.
Sure. 2d6 necrotic damage is lower than it should be, and 10 feet around you is smaller than it should be. So you're left with this kind of effect where it's like, oh, I really need to take this basically as a disengage, and I don't want to spend one of my 2 packed magic slots on a disengage. I want to spend it on big, impactful things, like, summoning creatures or doing large amounts of damage in an area. not moderate to low amounts of damage in area. Like 2d6 equates roughly to attack with a longsword, right? If you got a +3 on your, or sorry, attack with a short sword. If you have a +3 to hit, which a lot of warlocks will, with their dex mod is, you're doing hexblade stuff, or you're doing practical blade stuff, or even like we're looking at a bog standard fighter, you're gonna have a +3 to your attack modifier, which is gonna be +3 to your damage modifier, and a d6 weapon's gonna do a d6 +3, which is around the same average as 2d6. So this is kind of like attacking 3 things for a spell slot. Sometimes, if you're in that niche situation where you are completely surrounded and you're fine doing that. And I don't think that's particularly worth it for the spell slot. I think there's too many things that go wrong in that circumstance. I don't think there's an actionable enough, enough way to sculpt that area to be powerful compared to something like Burning Hands, compared to something like Ice Knife, which do more damage in a better area at the same cost.
See, I was comparing it to Sword Burst, which is a cantrip, granted.
That's free. But, that's very different.
Yeah. But I was thinking a 10-foot radius around you is a lot better than a 5-foot. You can, all right, yes, the situations where this will shine will be relatively niche and infrequent. But if you do get into a situation where there's a lot of little minions and you can run into the crowd, slap them around with your tentacles, and then run back out because they can't react. There's something there.
So there's another issue with this line of thought, right? And that issue is how low-level D&D play kind of works, right? So first and second level characters have almost no hit points, to the point where first level characters can instantly die to CR 1/8 creatures that crit, right? Like it just, this game is built in such a fashion that the low tier is unbelievably volatile. Well, you're going to have a lot of encounters that feel like non-encounters because every enemy missed, and you're going to have a lot of low tier encounters that just feel like utter curb stomps where you're beat into a bloody pulp because 2 things crit in a fight that had no business critting, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the variance of low tier play. Armor of Agathis would shine in a scenario where you have a pillow of HP to be able to say, okay, I am willing to absorb some amount of risk. As a warlock with a D8 hit dice and, a ton of different ability scores you want a high charisma, you want a high dex, you want a high con, you want a high different other stats if you want to do different other things, you're putting yourself in a situation where when you would want to cast this would be like first or second level, because again, you definitely get better options with second level spells, and you always have to cast things as second level spells, which makes this a lot less appealing. In any case, you at level 1-2 run into a group of enemies. To get the most value out of this, you need to kill them all. If you don't kill them all, you are almost certainly dead because they all pile on, and 4 attacks against you is a death sentence at levels 1 or 2. So, I don't really see a window where you're willing to trade this little damage for that effect, especially whenever something like Ice Knife is just right there and does as good an area with more damage to a single target, as good damage to the area from range. There's so many better spells than this. Now, granted, all of warlocks don't get Ice Knife, but a lot of warlocks get things like Burning Hands to their packs. A lot of warlocks get decent damaging effects in other fashions than this, that I think I'd much rather take.
Yeah, you're probably right, but this is one of these, this is one of the very few spells, well, I'll say the fantasy weighs heavy. I love the idea of everyone within 10 feet of me getting slapped around by these tentacles that burst out of my chest.
Can you say that with a straight face? It's silly, right? Come on.
It's horrifying.
Is it? We've played first level characters before, Bob. There's nothing scary about a first level character. I think the spell
I would think twice before messing with that guy again.
Sure. I don't think the spell's uncastable. 2d6 damage in an area can be fine. I can envision there being situations, right, where you do, a bunch of creatures dump on you, 2 of them miss, and you go, okay, great, Arms of Hadar hit 3 things. It was pretty solid. I get a free disengage against 2 of them. I just hope third opportunity attack misses. That could be fine. At the same time, you're going to use that for 2 levels in those niche situations. That's not nearly enough for me to want this on my character sheet. So...
yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, you ruined this one for me, Sam.
Happy to do it. It's what I'm here for.
It's been a while since you've done that.
Again, not the worst spell in the world. Just because it's not Burning Hands or Ice Knife doesn't mean it's unusable, but it's still a 2. And then it's most characters probably don't want this. Again, it's gonna be fine if you're gonna probably be able to readily hit 2 things with this, and in those windows you'll be like, yeah, was fine. It was kind of like an extra attack. Sure, I'm not happy with that as like someone that looks to make characters have really efficient uses of their resources, especially on Warlock. But you know, that's not unusable. It'll be fine at plenty of tables. Fine.
All right, I'm gonna defiantly give it a 3. Just because I want to like it more than you do.
Okay.
All right.
Is my way off base? Is this actually a really good spell? I don't think so, right? It can't possibly be that good.
I'm looking forward to comments on this one. I haven't used it. I haven't seen it used, but I'd like to. I really would. So I'd like to hear your stories, dear commenters.
Also,
viewers. Yes.
Viewers, let us know on the scale of scary to silly, where does this land? I'm
Yes.
way in the silly camp. Bob is way in the scary camp. It might be somewhere in the between, but I definitely think this is more silly than scary.
I'm
right?
in the scary camp, but recognize the potential for silliness.
I'm in the silly camp, but recognize the potential for scary.
Okay, good.
It's
If
just
I
hard to
used
do
this,
that.
it would be silly.
Like, how do you do that when you're playing with 3 other dudes that are like pretty drunk on a couple beers? Like, there's no way you can make that scary. Anyway,
No, it depends on the group, I guess.
that's fair.
All right. Let us know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.